Welcome to the Millennial Diner podcast. This is Jeff. I'm at the diner with Phil, as usual. And today, this is super rad. We have Emily here. Emily, say hi.
Hello. Hello.
Emily's saying hello to us. Flo is over here, and she just told me that Maurice is in the kitchen today, which means I'm going to do something crazy, because I know what Maurice's special is. I'm getting some of that vegetable soup. Harvest mix of vegetable soup. That's what I'm doing today. And even though I'm having soup, Phil, I'm still going to have that hot coffee with it. And with oat milk.
With oat milk, it's got to be oat milk. You said vegetable soup, like an Italian wedding vegetables, or like straight vegetable soup?
Just a ton of vegetables in the vegetable broth.
Okay.
No noodles, just the vegetables.
You got any lentils or anything in there, or just straight veggies?
There's a little bit of lentil action happening. Okay. Maurice knows what I like. Emily, what are you gonna have?
I think I'm gonna have go with a classic BLT. Love a good BLT, and I might add some avocado.
Ooh.
On that.
Well, this is you are from California, so
yeah. So I'm gonna add avocado, and then gonna get a side of fries for sure with that. And I'm not a coffee person, so I'm gonna do a chocolate shake, malt shake.
Nice.
Malt sounds really good. Where would the avocado go in the BLT? Is it like a BALT or is it like a BLAT?
Black.
I
think BLAT. Yeah.
BLAT. Okay. I had to visualize that in my head for a hot second to figure it out. I'm going to write that down just so I remember that for tonight. Jeff, I'm going to have, let's see, I'm famished. Let's go with slice of rye toast with butter and a black coffee. Let's do that. That sounds good.
You sure you don't want an avocado in that coffee or something?
No. In the coffee? No, I think it'll be, it does sound tempting, but no, I think I'll be all right with just rye toast, butter, and a coffee on side. Thanks.
One of these days, might change that order up. Well, we'll see. I'm glad you guys are here at the diner. I really want to talk about Matt Damon for a minute.
Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Okay.
American film star Matt Damon, beloved by many, hated by few. I was on TikTok the other night and I got served an SNL sketch. I didn't realize that TikTok had full SNL sketches they were serving to you now. Like, was a delightful surprise. But it was a sketch from 2018 in which there was a dinner party, and Matt Damon's at the dinner party, and he starts to talk about Weezer and how much he loves a Weezer. And Leslie Jones also likes Weezer, but she's a purist. She only likes the Blue Album Pinkerton. But then Matt Damon likes all the newer stuff. And they're having this really intense argument about these minutiae details about Weezer. And it blew my mind in 2018, and it blew my mind again. Because, what? Why are they talking about Ratatouille on Saturday Night Live? But they did. And the reason why I liked it is because they're going back and forth. She's like, Pinkerton, Blue Album, that's it, masterpieces or something else. And he's like, are you kidding me? There are better stuffs later on. Hurley, that album with Hurley from Lost on the cover? Come on. But then Cecily Strong, who's sitting next to Matt Damon the whole time, they're talking about Weezer. She just pipes in and says, well, I really like Yellowcard.
Yeah.
which is part of the reason why we're here today is because we were going to talk about Yellowcard's 2003. That's 2003, 20 years ago, Phil. Big year.
Big year, 2003. Yeah. That's a big year.
Coming up again. They have an album called Ocean Avenue that came out that is a beloved classic. So we got to talk about it. But before we do that, we want you to hear a little bit more from Emily. Emily, you grew up in Colorado, correct?
Yes, I grew up in Denver, suburbs of Denver, Colorado. Super hip emo scene.
Well, I'm curious about what the scene was like there, because we came from Long Island and we were kind of in like the hotbed of it, like between Long Island and New Jersey and Philly and like that whole area. It was just like emo punk band for emo punk band for emo punk band popping up.
Right.
So what was it like for you, and like how you came to even becoming a fan of Yellowcard?
I mean, so I don't know. I wasn't like full on in the emo scene in Denver. Because I feel like Denver was more, they were more like sad rock, like the Fray. That was always the vibe I got in Denver. But I don't know. I have been like racking my brain trying to remember how I first heard of Yellowcard, and I'm pretty sure I heard them on the radio. We like the big, alt rock station in Denver was 93.3. I heard like Way Away on there, and I remember I remember like loving it because they had the violin. Like it was just like so different from anything I'd ever heard. And I have played the violin since like 5th grade. So I was like, oh, like you can do other things with the violin besides like sit straight in a chair and play like Beethoven. So yeah, so I just remember like hearing them on the radio, hearing the violin on Way Away, and just being like, oh, well, this is my new favorite band. Like, end of story. And so yeah, and I remember like Way Away was like their first single, and that's like definitely what I heard first. And then of course Ocean Avenue came out.
And nothing was the same after that.
Truly. I mean, for me, yeah, that was Yellowcard was like my first big like pop punk band.
Oh, so they're like kind of your big entry point then to that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
So prior to that, was it just the Fray? Was it, or that's what did you say? You said like sad rock or sad alt rock?
I mean, like before, I honestly feel like Yellowcard and like discovering Yellowcard and the pop punk scene was like my first real like musical identity, because before that, because the Fray came like later, they came much later. Before that, it was just like whatever my parents were listening to, or like whoever was hot on Disney Channel at the time.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because that is almost verbatim. So a friend of mine at work, Dom, who I'll name drop here, so maybe Dom will listen to the episode, basically said this. I asked him about, because Ocean Avenue for him is that it's the album, it's the the entry point. And I think it's funny that you said that, because it's nearly verbatim what he said, was that it was like the first time he got to pick a band, and like it was the first time he heard something like, what did he say? He's like, you want to talk about like not getting with the girls and like skateboarding, and he was in for that. And I thought that was like, it's very funny to hear a very similar comment from someone else. And I feel like this is that album. This is one of those albums that is the entry point for a lot of people into the pop punk emo scene. And I think that's fantastic, and I love that. That's what got you into it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
it was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say it, like because I'd always been more of like a rock fan, more like over pop and everything else. Because my mom was a super big. She was like a super big. She's been to more concerts than I have, and huge, like she loved like Cheap Trick and Fleetwood Mac, and like so like
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
heck yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I have all her records too from when she like she won a contest where she got to have dinner with Cheap Trick one night. So like she was like huge, like hardcore like.
That's awesome.
Cheap Trick fan.
That is amazing.
What was Cheap Trick like at dinner?
Yeah.
I ask her about it all the time. And she always is just very like coy and about it. So I feel like they partied like pretty hard.
That's
That's
amazing.
exactly what that is. That's amazing. I love every second of that story.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? We have this thing where we want to hear your Mount Rushmore, but let's
Okay.
change it from Mount Rushmore to you get to have a dinner party
Oh
with
God.
four mute bands or artists of your favorites who have shaped your music love. Who are the four? They're going to be on Mount Rushmore as well, but they're also coming over to your place for a dinner party. Who's
Okay.
coming?
It's gonna be a big table. That's like a 16 to 20 person table. That
Yeah.
you best be ready. All
We're
right.
gonna rent out an event center for this.
Smart
Oh,
move.
cool.
Smart move.
Catered.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna get catered from too? I want to know that as well.
Okay. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot, and Jeff, as you know, I'm in my Eras Tour era currently, so I'm approaching this question from an Eras standpoint.
Understood.
This is one of my favorite things in the entire world is to watch people approach this question in various ways. It's a lot of fun for me. All right, go ahead.
So I'm thinking I'm gonna break it up because pop punk, that for me was pretty much exclusively my 4 years in high school. Like that, like defined my 4 years of high school. So it's each year of high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, was like its own era in the pop
I love
punk
that. Okay.
journey.
I love where this is going. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So I think like before Yellowcard, like when I was just dipping my toe in and sort of just like, oh, like this is a new sound. I had found a Jimmy Eat World album in the trash can.
Wait, what? Who threw out a Jimmy Eat World? Which album?
Jimmy Eat World.
It's the album, you know, that has like Sweetness and like all that.
Bleed American.
Bleed American.
Yeah.
But there was a brief period where it was not called Bleed American because that album came out right before 9/11. And after 9/11, they took the title Bleed American off for a while and then they put it back on eventually.
What'd they name it? What'd they name it in between?
It was just like a self-titled Jimmy Eat World album.
Yeah, so I don't know who threw it away, but
a fool.
That's a fool. That's
true
a great
fool. But
that's a great album. They should never.
But
have thrown it away.
I thank them because I found it and it was like in its case and everything, so it wasn't scratched or anything. And so I found that album my freshman year, and I listened to it all the time. I used it because it was before I had a car, so I couldn't like listen to it in the car. But I put it in my alarm clock CD player so that it was every time my alarm would go off, like that's what would play. So that I'm gonna say they're my first one.
Do you remember what specific song would play when you wake up?
It would just start at the top. So I think whatever track.
Bleed American, yeah.
Bleed American. It's a great song. Except its usage in what Jeff, what was it? Oh, Van Wilder. Was it Van Wilder? Did it use that song?
Was it? Did they? Maybe.
Yeah. And it was the ice. Oh my God, I can really remember that. It was the ice rink scene, and then where like Tara Reid like kind of kills it on the ice rink, and they were like, "Why are you so good at it?" And because we saw this in the theater, you and I, and she was like, "Oh, my brother played for the Rangers," and you and I both audibly booed in the theater because we were both Islander fans.
I have no memory of that, but that does sound like me. I thought you were going to say, because like I can't remember Van Wilder at all, but I feel like it probably hasn't aged well. But I do remember Jimmy Eat World's first big break was a Lucky Denver Mint in Never Been Kissed, which has not aged at all.
That is not aged. No, that's a movie that has not aged well at all. That's now in the complicated pile. Of
it's
movies.
not a complicated. It's like probably just burn that negative of that one. Once Was a Delightful Drew Barrymore, that movie rom-com that people loved, but not so much. I just want to say, if there is an emo fairy out there, they definitely would leave you presents in a garbage can like that. I feel like that is. So the emo fairy came to you and gave you Jimmy Eat World. Yes.
So Jimmy Eat World, that album specifically, Bleed American, was that sort of defined like my freshman year of high school. So then next up is Yellowcard. They're number 2. Because they came out, you know, Ocean Avenue came out, fell in love with that. So that's like my sophomore year. And yeah, I remember, so I had the Discman, and so I would carry that around, and I had the cool headphones that weren't connected. They were like iPod headphones, but they like went over your ear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I would just like listen to Ocean Avenue on repeat all day at school. And even during because I played tennis in high school, and during tennis practice, especially in Colorado, it gets cold in the winter, snow, can't go out and play on the tennis court, so we do indoor conditioning where we'd run around inside.
Mhm.
And I would run around with my Yellowcard Ocean Avenue and listen to that as I ran. So that's that. They're my number two. Number three, junior year for me, was Dashboard Confessional.
Let's do this.
Mainly because that's sort of when One Tree Hill started, and they were always on One Tree Hill. So, lots of feelings, lots of drama. And I liked that they were like, oh, they're like kind of a different sound, like acoustic, and also, of course, had a crush on Chris Carrabba. So
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, honestly, we all do.
Yeah. Yeah, so they'd be my number three. And then finally, there were a lot of bands that were vying for this number four spot, but because but then I had to think of my theme, think of high school, what defined each year. And so number four for me is Angels and Airwaves.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Yeah, like The Adventure was the anthem of my senior year of high school.
One of the best songs Tom DeLonge ever made.
Yeah. So that would be my number four for sure.
That's great. If I was to offer you one more seat at the table for one artist, can't be a band, it could be an artist of any generation, of any type of music, who would you have join this crazy party that you put together?
Well, Jeff, I think you know the answer to this question that you're asking. And
yes, that's why I'm asking it like
that. That answer is Taylor Swift.
There it is.
Like not even like she's the headliner of the dinner party. Like
she's hosting.
She's hosting. Yeah,
she is hosting.
She is at the end of the table. With 17 costume changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember, this was probably like 7 years ago or so, or 8 years ago, when Dashboard Confessional was kind of like it kind of like wasn't as popular. Like there was like a brief moment when he was doing different bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And then her best friend had a birthday.
Oh yes, I do remember.
And she surprised her at her birthday by having Chris Carrabba come out, and I'm just like, that's the power of Taylor Swift. She could just have Dashboard Confessional show up at her best friend's birthday.
Yes, I do remember this because I remember being so jealous of Abigail.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, your best friends is Taylor Swift. Like we already a lot of jealousy. And then second, because you're best friends with Taylor Swift, you get all of this. You get Chris Carrabba to come to your birthday party. Like, yeah.
I feel like that's a superpower. Like, you're like, oh, you want
Absolutely.
Chris Carrabba? Like, boom, Chris Carrabba is going to be at your party.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I do remember that. Oh my God.
Which is funny because the first time I saw him, it was like I can't even tell you what hardcore bands were playing, but he was like second bill at a hardcore show. And I was like, who is this dude? This dippy looking dude with an acoustic guitar coming out. I was like, oh, and then at the end of the set, I was like, I too love Chris Carrabba, and I will have his babies as well, because he was a thing for a hot minute, man. He was the thing.
Yeah, I even listened to his other band. I think they were Twin Forks. I listened to
Twin Forks,
them.
yeah.
Yep.
They were good.
Yeah, but I remember was it Further Seems Forever? Jeff, was that his first one? Yeah, it was first one. Yeah. Where I think I saw them one time, and I was like, has potential. And then I think the main part of the band left, and I was like, yeah, well, there's all the potential. It's all in Chris.
I'm pretty sure he recorded one album with them.
Yeah.
Then before the album came out, left to go do Dashboard Confessional.
Okay, that's what.
So the Further Scenes Forever continued on, but obviously without Chris Carrabba, they had it was a little different kind of band. But we're not here to talk about Chris Carrabba, even though he is currently appearing on the new Yellowcard EP that just came out on a song.
He
with them.
is.
Is he
is.
really?
Yeah. They brought him in. So Yellowcard is why we're here, because Ocean Avenue needs to be talked about. Like I said earlier, came out in 2003, produced by Neil at Averon.
Yeah.
Who I didn't really know his name, but then like I looked at the list of stuff he's done, and I'm like, oh, like everything I love. He's done most of the Fall Out Boy albums. He's done most Newfound Glory albums, like just like Mr. Pop Punk. I feel like is the
Mr. Pop Punk.
And he produced the latest Fall Out Boy album, So Much for Stardust, which I absolutely love. But this is not a podcast about that album, so I will not talk about it more. But just want to get that out there. But when we talk about Yellowcard, they are very much a pop punk band. A lot of their songs, I would be like, oh, this is like quintessential pop punk in both their themes, their sounds, the hooks, the way they put the stuff together. But so they basically check all the boxes of a pop punk band. But I think what makes them different than like the Starting Line or Simple Plan and other bands of that era, I mean, I think it's the violin. It really changes things.
It's the violin. It's something different. It is well, because Emily even touched upon that, because as a violinist herself, that it was something different. I mean, of course, I have to bring in other bands because that's how I roll. But it's like the first time you hear something corporate, where you're like, "There's a piano in this pop punk band. Like, what are you doing here?" And that for me, now see, as far as Yellowcard, I'll be honest. I came to Yellowcard, the album, after this. I was a Lights and Sounds person, and because I remember hearing Lights and Sound drop, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like this band I was like, I could dig this. This is cool. And then I was like, oh, this is the Ocean Avenue guys. And I was like, oh, okay, I know them. Okay. But I was like, for me, it was Lights and Sound, like the pseudo concept album that got me into this. And I like working my way backwards with bands. When I find out I like to see where they come from. And so it's my introduction of Ocean Avenue. And for me, it was the same thing. Violins. Like what? Who does violins in a punk band? Nobody, but this band.
Well, it's funny because it can almost be like I don't know, like a gimmick, but it's not. Like it actually like when we listen to the songs, it's like it adds this element that just changes what you can do with a pop punk song. And even to the point I'll point it out as we get through it, but like there's points where I'm like headbanging to the violin, you know, and I love that. It's really fun.
I'm also going to point out that this band is from Jacksonville, Florida.
Originally, right?
Originally, right? We've already covered a band from Jacksonville, Florida, because there's Less Than Jake from Jacksonville, Florida.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to? I'm going to run a quick list of other bands from Jacksonville, Florida. I feel like when you say Jacksonville, you need to bring in the state as well. I don't know why. Quick rundown, real quick. A couple of bands: the Allman Brothers, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Like great, I like Southern rock, but let's go a little more new. Limp Bizkit. Jacksonville, Florida. Jeff, our favorite band ever. Cold. Can't even
why does Cold come up in this podcast so much?
I don't know, man, but it does. Cold is from Jacksonville, Florida, as well as Shinedown, the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and Tedeschi Trucks Band, among others.
Wow, it's a lot of butt rock and ska and all sorts of things happening in Jacksonville.
Why does Cold keep coming up for us? This is like I didn't mean this to be a running bit for the show, but this is a running bit with that band.
I don't know why I've thought about Cold so much this year.
Here we are.
I want Cold way away from me, Phil. That's what I want.
Way away. That's great. You know what? I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to roll them into a ball. I'm going to punt them out into the which ocean you want to kick them to, Atlantic or the Pacific? Because we're going to hit both in this.
Indian.
Album, so. We're going very. I can kick very well. We're going to kick to the Indian Ocean. Off they go. Goodbye, Cold. Off to the Indian Ocean you go.
Take that, stupid girl songwriters.
I have sent them Way Away.
So Way
Let's
Away is the opening track of Ocean Avenue.
It's a great opening from the
Yeah.
quiet to the loud. I love the way this album opens.
I think, well, so I went to Yellowcard was the first concert I ever went to, and they played with the Starting Line, so it was like a dream for me because I also really love the Starting Line, and they opened with Way Away, which I feel it just like sets the tone perfectly for what you're about to witness.
I feel like this song, I always kept waiting for like a scream to happen at some point. Like it was very it's very story of the year for me at parts where I'm like where's that big scream coming? So I have to admit, I was always kind of like, where's the big scream? It's gonna happen, but that doesn't happen. But that's not this type of band.
No, they have the violin, not screaming.
They do. Well, at this point in 2003, I've started veering off to the right, or no, it doesn't matter direction. To melodic hardcore at this point. So it's like I'm like, where's all the screaming? I'm in for the screaming. That's why this album in particular is a breath of like, oh, this is like upbeat pop punk. I can go with this. This is good. This is really good. I like this. Even though they're telling me to get Way Away.
But I mean, it is an angsty song, which is part of like what really helps. It's like it feels like an adolescent angsty song about like getting out of a bad situation, right? Like it could be a toxic relationship, a bad friendship, a bad job. You know, I like how it's kind of open to interpretation of what you need to get away from, and you can kind of like rock out to that song with that in mind.
Oh gosh.
They're not afraid to leave.
That is like I totally get that. And I always interpreted it as like they wanted like getting away from home, like bad home life, whatever. That's always how I saw it. But I always just saw them like running away from home, running to the West Coast, like vibes from it.
No, I definitely think it's there. And the only reason I throw that other stuff in there is like I feel like the elder emo in me is now looking at these songs and being like, wow, Way Away still speaks to me to this day.
Well,
there are so many things to get away from.
I want to get away from stuff, but I think there is kind of a darker element to the song, and I think that holds up in the line, like how it feels to be alone. Okay, so Way Away, so you can see how it feels to be alone and not believe. And I feel like that's kind of the main point of the song. It's like they're getting away from someone who doesn't believe. I'm gonna say believe in them or believe them. So like maybe there's you're right, Jeff. There's like a vagueness to it. There's like a bigger story here that we don't know. We're only getting like a snippet of it, which is fine because I think it works for the song. But I feel like they're definitely getting away from something very negative. I don't know where they're going, but they're going somewhere. Hopefully somewhere better.
Well, bringing in the biography of the band, I think it was before this album they relocated to California.
So we're getting away from Jacksonville. Is that what we're doing?
That could be the literal, version of it if we're taking it that way. But
well, that actually then connect to the last song with Back Home, where he goes back to Jacksonville. So I mean, maybe there's something. I feel like this is one of those albums that basically takes a lot of snippets of younger person, like early teenage life, early adult life. However, I don't know how you want to phrase it. I sound very old trying my best to like phrase that in a certain way. But I feel like this is a vibe you can relate to. Because I remember feeling like that 14, 15, be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. I hate this place. I can't wait for college because I'm going to go someplace and be awesome. And then I didn't. That's okay. That's a different story.
You picked up your violin and you left.
That would check out. I'd just be like, suddenly, you know what? I'm going to play violin now and just go elsewhere and play my violin.
This was actually the first single, right? Originally, which when we get to the second single, I'm going to be like, who made the decision not to make that the immediate? Like we'll get there. We'll get to the next single, but this was the first single. I don't know a lot of albums that the first single is the first song. There's a few here and there, like Feeling This, like from Blink-182, Untitled, but like
I feel like that. I do. I feel like that's reserved for more like pop. albums. You know, like a lot of pop albums, the first 4 songs are gonna be the first 4. Maybe not I say that, but maybe not sequentially. They'll be the first 4 singles. But a lot of the, like, you know, Britney Spears album, the first few songs are gonna be the singles. I'm having a tough time thinking of, well, he said feeling this with Blank, but like where the first track is the first single. I mean, it's a good way to introduce you to the band.
Oh, for sure. I'm actually like now like At Your Funeral from Save Today, Stay What You Are. So now I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm thinking of some. But I feel like it's few and far. I always feel like the single is usually like song 4 on the album. It's like usually kind of like, you know, a little higher up.
Part of me wonders if maybe it was the first single because whoever, like, the record label was like trying to capitalize on whoever was hot at the time. And they're like, oh, this song, like Philly, you're saying, like it has like a darker element. Maybe it's like this sort of sounds like that. So we're gonna do this as the first single.
That would make sense. Because this is their first album on Capitol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 2003, the scene's starting to break and bands are starting to break. And, you know, it's funny because I feel it's going to sound negative, but I'm going to run with it. Is like, I feel like a lot of their songs on this album, they could be other bands, right? Like, I feel like that's not a dig at them. That's not at all. I actually wonder if that's straight the record company telling them to sound a certain way so that they can sell the album. But I don't say that, like, that's not with maliciousness. Because every song sounds like a Yellowcard song. They do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I was wondering about that. If like the record company was like, well, we should put this one out because this kind of sound right now is what's selling at the moment. I'm kind of curious to know what the span is between releases on it. So I'm going to take a minute to figure that out.
Well, while you take a minute, why don't we play Way Away? Because it is just an awesome song and
Banger.
it needs to be heard by everybody. So here is Away Away by Yellowcard. And that was Way Away.
That song came out. That was released same day as the album as a single.
Oh,
that
interesting.
Was July 22nd. Now, what I do not understand is Ocean Avenue, which is 2 songs from now. We're going to get to it, but I'm going to mention it now. Came out. It was released as a single December 16, 2003. Which song sounds more like a summer song?
Well, that would be Ocean Avenue.
Ocean Avenue.
That would be Avenue, 100%. I do not understand why Ocean Avenue was not first.
Well, I wonder too if that was the year they were on Warped Tour, and they discovered over the course of Warped Tour that the biggest song was actually Ocean Avenue.
Ocean Avenue. I don't know how you'd not, because
how would you?
Because that is an amazing tune. But we're gonna take a breath right now. We're gonna do some breathing. And we're gonna
Thank goodness, I love breathing.
Let's talk about breathing.
Song and the activity.
Well, I appreciate you liking the activity because I'm kind of I kind of need you around. So let's keep doing that, okay?
Remember to breathe.
Remember to breathe. So let's talk about the second track on the album, which is Breathing.
I feel like this is the track that you headbang with the violin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think you're 100% right. In fact, Way Away, now that we said that earlier, how it kind of sounds like more of the general scene that they were coming out in with a little more of the angst and everything. Breathing is like, oh, it opens with a lead violin like hook, right? Like, okay, you like pop punk? Well, you're gonna like this first song. But guess what? This band is different than those other bands, and here's why. So I feel like sequencing wise, it's like, here's your headbanging violin.
Mm-hmm. It was back in like 2004 when I saw them live for the first time, was also so cool, again, as a violinist, to actually see like a violin headbanging and like doing all the jumps and like flips and whatever that like all the guitarists do. And it's like, God, like normally you play the violin and you're like a nerd, but like this guy is so cool. Like, so it's so cool to see.
Yeah, he had like a faux hawk and he was like playing the violin.
Tattoos, like, yeah.
I'm in for it. The other thing to go with that, Way Away is a good song. You could argue it's kind of in that generic bucket of just pop punk songs. I think Breathing is the first time that Ryan shines lyrically on the album because he paints a picture.
Mhm.
I mean, the opening part where like he's sort of tired, the eyes are feeling heavy, but but you never can fall asleep. Dude, I had that last night. But he brings in the very visual, visceral element of staring at the ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've always liked about Ryan's writing, and I'm going to assume Ryan does the writing. I know he's a lead vocalist, but I don't know. I'm going to put that in there. If he's not, credit goes to whoever whoever
If
wrote the
not
song.
Yellowcard, send your angry letters to Phil.
Sangria to Phil in New Hampshire.
Grievance
Well,
filed.
I get to their credit, to Yellowcard's credit. If you ever look at the notation of who wrote the song, it's always the band. And
Yeah.
I've always appreciated whenever
I
bands
love
do
when bands do that. Yeah.
I do love when bands do that. It's like Alkaline Trio. I know they'll credit themselves. They credit the whole band. I know Matt writes his songs, Dan writes his songs, but I've always appreciated when bands credit the whole band so they all get a piece of the pie. Anyway, whomever is a lyricist, this is the song where I was like, oh, okay, you're painting pictures. I can see this. I can feel it. Like it's a very different feel than the previous song. Um, I've always wondered, do you think this is like the point of this song? It's like right after the fight, and like they're both kind of like oddly lying in bed together, and like neither can sleep.
I hadn't thought about that. I always pictured it as maybe there was a fight. There was something that happened
Something
recently that
right. Something.
this is the big moment where the protagonist has decided they're going to break up with this person.
Mm.
Right.
Like, and
Yeah.
that's what's keeping them up. Like they're sleeping and they don't know it's coming, but they know it's going to happen. They know that like the next conversation they have is going to be that.
Oh, that'd be horrible to think about that all night long and just like focus on and now see that the title takes on a different meaning if I went with that avenue. Like focus on your breathing because maybe you'll fall asleep. Because I've had that where you're trying to fall asleep and you're like, I can't fall asleep. I'm just gonna like focus on something but breathing. Oh wow, that changes I love that interpretation.
Well, it's the second verse where something I've been keeping locked away behind my lips. I can feel it breaking free with each and every kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is, whether like is the person cheating on the other person or whatever it is, but like it's about it comes to a point where like once you know, and you're about to blow it all up.
See, and that makes the sinking like a weight. That actually changed that. I can see that now. Or even, can you feel it beating my heart? Can you feel my heart beating? Which now is like double on because it's not right now for you. I mean, oh, totally changed the vibe of that song.
Yeah.
Still great song. I love the song. I still love it. It's great. But change the vibe on it, Jeff. Oof.
Well, the other thing, and I'll point this out in other songs too, if I notice in the songwriting, it seems like sometimes the bridge is where they tell you what it's really about.
I can see that 100%.
They show their cards in the bridge a little bit more, and this one's a little bit like that. Not as there's some other songs coming up where it's like, oh, very clear, but how am I supposed to feel about the things I've done? I don't know if I should stay or run around and run. I know that I hurt you. Things will never be the same. The only love I ever knew, I threw it all away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That to me makes it sound like that this person cheated on their significant other.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the bridge work. So I was like, the bridge work on all the songs, it's just there's always something great about it. And I think you kind of hit upon that. Like that's where the secret comes out. Like what's really going on. See, that's good. That's good.
That's great, right?
That's great writing.
Yeah.
That's good songwriting. That's like I don't know, kind of letting in on the secret during the bridge. I love it. I love good songwriting.
Emily, did they play this at the 20th anniversary tour?
They did. Yeah. They played it like in the encore. So they
mixed everything up.
Yeah, they did. So I mean they also opened with Way Away, which was awesome because it was like the stage was dark and you just had the guitar go out there and do like the riff, and then like all the lights came up when it really like kicks off. But yeah, I think they played this. I'm pretty sure they played it as part of the encore.
I would imagine they played it right before they played the last song.
Well, they played the encore was like 4 or 5 songs. And this was one, and then they played a couple from some of their other albums. And then of course the last song they played was Ocean Avenue.
Yeah.
We can just drive along Ocean Avenue right now, but let's is Ocean Avenue in California, or do we think it's in Jacksonville or somewhere else, or is it California or Florida?
Well, I can tell you this, Phil. There's a meme with Ryan's face, and he says, "Get in, loser. We're going to Ocean Avenue." And I think that's what it is, right? And it's a picture of his head in front of like a sign that says Ocean Avenue. And I'm pretty sure that street sign of that meme is in Santa Monica.
Mm.
All right, so we're going to LA.
But that's just a meme. I don't know about.
Yeah.
It could be from Florida because there was water near Florida. I assume. I don't go to that state, so I don't know. But
I feel like every beach city has to have an Ocean Avenue. Like
you have to, right? Yeah, it's kind of like it's like an Elm Street. You know, every town has an Elm Street. Said Freddie.
When I went to Los Angeles, I desperately wanted to play Beverly Hills by Weezer while driving through Beverly Hills, and I also wanted to play this song while trying to find Ocean Avenue. So now I know to go back. It's on Santa Monica. Okay.
Yeah.
Right by the beach.
Right by the beach.
It definitely, I mean, even if it is the Ocean Avenue in Jacksonville, if the song feels and sounds like West Coast.
It really does. Yeah.
Like it feels like Hollister. Like you walk into a Hollister.
Like Hollister.
If Hollister was a song, this is what
song.
You know what? But you're totally right. It totally is. It's a great song. It's a great song. I don't know why this is not the first single. This should have been the first single. I feel like the band might have been bigger if this was the first single, because this is an amazing song.
Yeah.
Well, I think every band dreams of writing like a defining song that encapsulates a time, a place, a scene, and still feels fresh as fuck every time you hear it, which is what this is. This is the masterpiece, right? Like this song is like, I don't consider them like a one-hit wonder, because like they didn't fall into that trap. Like they definitely have a lot of their songs and stuff, but like this song is like on every pop punk playlist or every emo playlist. It doesn't like it just every 2000s playlist. Ocean Avenue is on there, and I think it's a crossover hit. Like I think people who aren't even into this kind of music love this song.
Yeah. Well, it's very the pop punk. It's the pop side, which, yeah. And I also just feel like so many people, especially, millennials, like I feel like it sort of encapsulates like that time so perfectly. Everybody can connect to it in some way.
How high on the Billboard Hot 100 of 2004 do you think this went? And I'm going to tell you this right now. It peaked during the summer of 2004. So almost a year after its release. How high do you think it went?
Top 100?
Hot 100. We got 100 digits to go with.
I don't know, 9.
That you're being very, very polite. Not that high. Not that high. Okay. Come on.
Well, I was trying to decide if it was like a top 10 or not. I guess not.
No, it's not top 10.
20?
No. All right. We're going the other way. It was number 37.
Oh,
37.
Dang,
this
row. Feels like it should be like number 5. At least.
What 36 better songs in 2004? I want to hear them.
That's gonna take a lot of detective work.
No. You don't. No,
that's gonna be a whole show just me to figure that out.
That's for the folks at home to research.
Yes, this peaked during the summer of 2004, number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah.
Thank large part to its premiere on TRL.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing up TRL, and I'm glad you're bringing up this music video, because this music video was directed by Mark Webb. Mark Webb, who directed many videos of the scene around this era, and his videos because he puts like a lamb on somebody, like either on someone's shirt or like on a box. It's like a cutout of little lamb. If you watch the video, you see that. But Mark Webb went from directing these emo punk music videos to doing 500 Days of Summer, the most emo movie possible, and then turned Spider-Man emo with Andrew Garfield in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, the best Spider-Man. That's my hot take. It's not that hot. It's I like to say it all the time.
That is a hot take to go to Garfield.
He's the best Spider-Man.
He's okay. He's the best Spider-Man, but are those movies the best Spider-Man movies?
They're not. But he is the best Spider-Man. He is just he's got it down.
My son will agree with you. Garfield is the best.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, your son's right.
I know he is, and I remember watching No Way Home with him, and I was so excited during the whole scene, the whole movie, just to see them all both appear. I was so excited
when he saves MJ.
It was like it was a big moment. I'm not gonna lie, it was a big. I was like, he finally got the closure he needed. You know, I mean, it was a big moment. That was.
I have a print of Andrew.
I'm gonna go back and watch No Way Home again.
You got to. I have a print of Andrew holding MJ, having just saved her, and next to him is a ghostly visage of Gwen with her hand on his shoulder.
That's
as he's like crying. That's
a lot.
Yeah, that's why I love that.
Also because it has one of the greatest moments where Charlie Cox comes in as Daredevil, and I was like, I literally grabbed my son. I'm a huge Daredevil fan, by the way, fans. I literally grabbed his arm, and I was like, "Do you know who that is?" And he's like, "No, I have no idea who that is." I was like, I have failed as a parent. That's Daredevil, and I'm really excited that he's in the MCU. Anyway, let's go back to Ocean Avenue.
Wait, we don't want to make this a Spider-Man podcast?
We might, at this point, might as well. Let's just do the whole Marvel rip. Yeah, let's just do that. Tom Holland. I do like Tom Holland though.
But interesting that the video on a TRL and helped kind of spike the numbers. But like again, it's over time. Here we are, 20 years since this song came out, and this song, it sounds like it could have came out yesterday.
It's a fresh song. It really is. You're right. Well, it's also because it's a very identifiable song, right? It's kind of wistful, like looking back on something that, like, if you were just here now, things would be so much better. I feel like it's a song about, I don't know, maybe a missed opportunity. There's a very Romeo and Juliet kind of feel to it, because there's one line where we keep pretending the sun will not rise, which is literally like out of Romeo and Juliet, that they're going to pretend like that's not the bird that's singing right now. And so like there's this, I always felt it's a relationship that went real hot, real quick, very summery, like a summer fling.
Yeah.
And then something made that dissipate. Now, I don't think it's as bad as that both characters died, like in Romeo and Juliet, because otherwise he wouldn't be singing the song unless he's like he's dead. Anyway, that goes weird real quick. But I think it's a song about looking back on something, and I think we can all relate on looking at a missed opportunity. And
it feels very like summer vacation romance, like
100%, love it. Yes.
Yeah, where like it does burn really hot, but it's like it's over after a week, and it's like if I could just go back to that time, like maybe if even first love summer romance, like.
Well, because that sits with you, that stuff sits with you. It will forever, and like I remember mine. It's just it will sit with you forever.
It's a song of nostalgic longing, right? It's I think by saying we were both 16 and it felt so right, like again, the pictures being painted, like, oh, like we said, Emily, like a first love potentially over the summer. That's all there. But also going back to the structure of the writing, the songwriting, in the amazing bridge, which is like my favorite part of the song.
Amazing bridge.
He does the narrator reveals, I remember that look in your eyes when I told you that this was goodbye. You were begging me, not tonight, not here, not now. So I thought like, oh, there's nostalgic longing the whole way, but then we get the bridge, you're like, oh, this is a song of regret.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where the regret shows its head. And I love that again.
Well, and I feel like that's a theme, this wistful regret, throughout the entire album.
Yes.
I feel like that feel kind of pops up often. Now, I'm wondering if that's a sign of the times. This is 2003. We got a song about what happens in 2001, in September 2001 later on. So I'm wondering if like this generation who grew up with such atrocity to witness, grew up very fast. Thursday talks about one of the songs. They grew up much too fast in the shadow of the New York skyline. That they grew up and now they and very quickly, but have to look back on things kind of like wishing they had done differently because they've realized, I don't know, the finality of it all. I don't know where I'm going with that. That's kind of where I'm going with it. So I feel like we've created a generation of very wistful, nostalgic thinking people. How about that?
Well, yeah, and I think collapsing in on itself, the fact that it is 20 years later and this song sounds fresh and it evokes these feelings, and we're talking 2 decades since we first felt these feelings here in this song, and it's still doing that. Like it's built to be this nostalgic machine, I guess.
Well, because now you have a nostalgia about the song itself. Like, so like you've got this fun little circle about it because it's a God, it's a good song.
It's yeah.
Well, yeah, and just on that, like at the 20th anniversary show, like the other weekend or whatever, like it was like palpable. Like every time they finished a song and would start another song, it's like everybody was like waiting for this song. And when they finally played it, like the very last song, it was just like you couldn't even hear them playing, honestly, because the entire theater was singing along. And like there was even sitting behind me was like a guy like our age who had brought his dad, and even his dad like knew the song and was like waiting for Ocean Avenue. So yeah, so it's definitely, it's nostalgia on top of nostalgia at this point, and everybody just like lost their minds when they played it.
I feel like this song would be, it's either the first song or the last song. It's nowhere in between.
I don't even know if you can do a first fist. I think you have to
hold it.
It's like it's you got to close on this one. I mean, it's a banger of a close. But like, I was debating with myself. I'm like, do you open with this? Because then what do you close with?
Yeah, I don't know what you close. If you're sending people home, you want to send them home with this.
Yeah.
But I think instead of calling it nostalgic, I think the other word we can call it is a timeless song. That's why it's so great. Because it's an evergreen. Like it really is. When you all the elements about it could be any time period. The thing, this could sing, this person, like this guy's dad was there. If that guy grew up in the 60s or something, there's no reason this couldn't take place in the 60s. It really lends itself to, and I guess that's why it's such a perfect pop song in that way.
Yeah.
And you're right, Jeff. It's a crossover kind of, because it could be a pop song. It could. It's just a damn good one. I like when pop is more rock based than anything.
That's the other thing. The song absolutely rocks. Like it makes you want to jump up and down. It does all the things that a great pop punk song should do, and all the elements are there. It has the violin. But you don't even. The funny thing is, the violin isn't like on some of the other songs. Like even the last song, the violin's like, whoa. This is just one piece of this entire fabric of this song.
Yep. Jeff, do you want to play this song?
I don't know. I don't think people even want to hear this. Just kidding.
You don't want to end on it?
Well, that's a good point. No, we got to play Ocean Avenue right now. Here it is, folks, from the titular song on the album, Ocean Avenue by Yellowcard. Oh, and that is Ocean Avenue. If you had never heard that song before, I don't know how that's possible, but
where have you been?
But if not, we hope your first time listening to it, it will be as good as your 50,000th time listening to it. Again, we have an album named after a song on the album. We've come across this a few times. It's an interesting choice when this happens. Why do you think this album is called Ocean Avenue?
It's a great question. No, I feel like it's. I mean, they made their move to the West Coast. Like look at the album cover.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's the theme or not the theme, but like the vibe.
I'd use theme. Theme works. I mean, but vibe probably actually works. Vibe works a little better. I think it's the vibe of the album. It summarizes the entirety of the album as well as the song. Now, we have got into that before. Maybe we'll, at the end of the show, I'm gonna maybe perhaps ask that same question. We're gonna write that down. But it definitely is the vibe of the album.
Well, and you mentioned the album cover for people who aren't looking at it. It's like a silhouette almost of someone
It's a Hollister ad.
It's a Hollister ad. Yeah,
Yes.
it looks like a young woman out in front of the ocean. Their sun is out there. You can't really see her face because she's backlit, and it just says Yellowcard underneath.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't even say Ocean Avenue on the front. It's one of those albums.
It's one of those albums. It doesn't even say it on the front.
Well, you always know that my Yellowcard record would be in my apartment. My apartment will never be a fully empty apartment.
No, because you'd have friends there. You'd have this album as a friend. That's like
right.
That's it. So we're gonna slow it down real quick. It's just we're gonna slow it down. Sing a song for the ladies out there. Sequencing. I always felt this was a weird spot for this song because we go 3 straight bangers and then we're like, whoa, pump the brakes. We're gonna slow it down. But I don't know where else I'd plop this song.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense here. And we're talking. What do you think?
No, I think 3 bangers and slowing it down is the right way. The rules of 3. You want to have 3. Start the album off with that, and you kind of want to take a little relaxing break because then the next song comes back pretty fast again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Empty Apartment. What do you guys think of this song?
This song, I don't dislike it, but it's usually a one that I don't always listen to.
Yeah.
It's a skip.
I tune out. I get like 45 seconds in, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, all right. I want to go back to where it's like upbeat and fun. It's a good lyrically. It's a good song. Again, Jeff, the bridge is where the secrets come out. It really is. Now that you brought that up, I'm like, I'm gonna look for it every time. And you're right, because if you like look at the liner notes, it's like short line, and then we get this brick during where the bridge is, and all the stuff comes out. But
the exposition bridge.
it's like exposition bridge. I'm gonna keep that forever. But I like that. It's okay to be angry, never let go. It only gets harder the more that you know. When you get lonely, if no one's around, you'll know that I'll catch you when you're falling down. We gotta bring a Catcher in the Rye. Is that what we're doing here? A little Salinger here. Mm-hmm. So far in this episode, I've talked about Salinger and Shakespeare. Keep that going.
This one also, again, just trying to figure out what it's talking about. Is it a relationship? Is it a friendship? Is it, it's pretty open. It just looks like this. Well, you get in the bridge, like basically saying, like, no matter how you feel about me, I will be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's the beauty of it. It doesn't need to be one, because I feel like with the lyrics in general, there's often it could be interchangeable, but with this album, of a friend versus a significant other. I think that actually kind of is a common thing, which is fine. And I think that I appreciate the little this is vague enough that you can get out of it. It's concretely vague. You can get something out of it. It's not so vague where you're like you don't know what's going on. But it's also not so singular, and just saying it's just a relationship song. It's a relationship song instead of instead of a binary like guy girl,
right,
or guy or girl. I don't care, but like it's a relationship where it could be also in friends, or I mean, hell, it could be even familial. It could be a family relationship where like I'm not going to give up on you, because you might move in with your brother, your sister, your uncle, who knows, and you're telling them you're not going to give up on them no matter what, which might not necessarily be a good thing. Just saying.
No, I appreciate the vagueness. Like anytime we are talking about in 2000s punk, emo, pop punk's band or song, anytime we can get away from a lot of bands at this era we've heard tend to vilify the girl and have it be from the boy's point of view, and it's always a very very hetero dynamic. So anytime we can appreciate that from
I appreciate the neutrality of this song.
Yes, that's what I say.
It's not like blaming the woman or the girl in the situation, as was very apropos in 2003, and for some stupid reason, I don't know, and I still don't know. Didn't know then, I don't know now.
Bill, you should go back in time and be a salesman to the early aughts. about
Do you
how to write
think?
these songs. Yeah, you'd have a good life as a salesman, I feel like.
I always wanted to get into actually I always thought I could do well at sales, but I was always like, but I don't want to be in sales.
You're not a closer? Coffee's for closers, Phil.
Yeah, coffees for closers. No, I think it's always been you know me, I like to talk. I would have done pretty well in sales. I just don't think I can do that and keep my soul where it is. So I'm gonna not do that. This song makes me laugh every time I hear it because I want this song to be sarcastic, and it's not.
The
Because
opening verse sounds sarcastic, though.
it sounds like a Blink song. Like I keep waiting for like Tom's voice to come in, and it's gonna get real sarcastic real quick, but it never does. And I'm like, and then part of me then it's like, oh, that's kind of dickish of me to be like, oh, this is a legit song about he authentically is singing a song about how much he cares about like what he's learned from his dad. I'm like, that's actually kind of awesome. But here I am waiting for the sarcastic part to come in.
No, I feel the same way with this song because I think also there are a lot of songs. I think Good Charlotte has them of the pop punk, and there's plenty other Everclear, of course, where they're complaining about the father who was, absent in their life or, didn't love them. And, that's a very common trope in a lot of songs across, music history. So to find a song that sincerely talk about how great their dad was and, made them the person they are today. We always talk about titles. I was thinking a lot about this title, Life of a Salesman, Phil, you love your titles. It's almost to me, the dad's life as a salesman of how to live and how to be a good person. He was the salesman for it.
Right.
That's where I took that.
This song also has very good violin in it as well.
Excellent violin. Yeah.
Yeah. Which that's the most I ever took from this song because I never experienced a father-son relationship. So this, for me, this song is more about like, oh, what's the violin doing? Because I don't necessarily connect with any of the lyrics that are happening here. Although I do appreciate how it is like, how it is celebrating like their relationship and not shitting on it.
Which, like Jeff said, is a bit out of the norm for that area. I mean, we like to blame our parents for everything, and here's a song where literally he's celebrating his parents or his father. And I think at the time, I remember like when I first heard that, I was like, nah, this has got to be a joke. Like there has to be a sarcastic element to this. And I'm like, no, this is legit. It's authentic. And I actually think that takes a bigger swing of the bat to go like, I'm going to write an authentic song about how I feel about my dad. I imagine they got they must have gotten crap over this in 2003. I feel like this would have been like, really? About a song about your dad? Really?
Well, it is kind of a risky move, especially
risky. I agree.
But they played this also at the 20th anniversary show and people loved it. So
did the dude behind you, like with his dad, was he all excited about it?
I don't know because I didn't really hear from them much until it was getting towards the end, and the dad was a little worried that they weren't going to play Ocean Avenue at the Ocean Avenue anniversary show, and his son kept being like, "Don't worry, they'll play it." Like,
I find that adorable.
I love that so much.
I love that so much that he was like, "Well, I don't know if they're going to play it, Dad. I assure you, they're going to play their biggest song ever. Like, it's going to happen."
That things are different now. You can go online to setlist.com and see all the sets and all the songs they play on this tour.
That's funny. But I think, and Jeff, I think you're right. I think ultimately the father is doing a very good job of selling the concept of what it's like to be a good father. And it's funny. I look at this song. I'm like, okay, do I stack up now? I've got 2 kids. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing okay.
Well, another element of this 20th anniversary show was so there was behind me, there was the elder millennial emo and his dad. And then next to me was a married couple who brought their like 8-year-old daughter. So I feel like this song, like now thinking back on that show, I'm like, this dad, He's doing it
Yeah.
right. He's
Mhm.
he's bringing her to this Yellowcard show. She'll never forget it, even though she did fall asleep at a certain point. But
That's okay. That's
Life of an emo salesman right there. Yeah.
you guys would be very excited that I often bring home T Swift albums for my daughter, who's 9, and is a huge fan of the T Swift. We're not buying tickets anytime soon, I can tell you that. But at the very least, I'm gonna maybe I'll wait till she's like a little older to might fully appreciate the concept of going to a Taylor Swift concert.
I don't
'Cause
know. I feel like you might. You brought a 9-year-old to an Eras Tour concert. Like, her life will peak. Like, I don't know if it gets.
Oh, so then I should definitely not do it, because if life's gonna peak if it's gonna peak at 9, I mean, that's not.
It's only downhill from
It's all like that. Like, you could literally say that. You're like, you're never gonna see a concert or anything like this again. Nobody's gonna play for 3 hours and 20 minutes and play 45 songs. I'm sorry.
The only person who might rival that is 1975 Bruce Springsteen. That's the only person who might rival that length of song playing and songs.
But until you get a time machine to go back, then it's
you
Taylor,
wait.
Eras Tour.
You wait. I'm working on it. That'd be a killer show, right? 1975 era, like Bruce Springsteen.
Well, I always say there's only one Bruce Springsteen. It's the 1975 Bruce Springsteen. He's the only one.
He's the only one.
Our next song is called Only One. This would be the power ballad single.
Yes, we've reached the ballad point of the album. Yes. This as I like the kid, but this album has a little bit of everything for everybody, which is fine, except for one song. One song I'm not digging, but
oh wow,
yeah. This is the 3rd single.
I feel like this song is all about the chorus. This is like, here I go, I scream my lungs out and try to get to you. And the way he sings it, there's a desperation in his voice. It really, I imagine hearing this live, even 20 years later, you're screaming along, not screaming, but you're belting it out with him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Actually, I think they played this as part of the encore, not whatever the one before. Breathing. Yes, they played this one as part of the encore.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're right, Jeff. It's the chorus. The chorus or bust for this album, for this song. It really is. It's just that good. Well, because who's ever felt like that? Right. Again, this bringing up this album is entirely moments of like, who hasn't felt that way about somebody? Doesn't matter who. I don't care. At one point where you were like, I just want to scream out your name and how much I care about you. Like, I feel like that's just a very connectable image, moment that people can connect with. Obviously, I use the word connectable.
Well, and this also feels like, just like with Breathing, where the main character, whoever is the one who did something wrong, and is like, I love you, but like, I'm removing myself from this situation dishonestly. Leave a note, like, with a text, breaking up with you via text, and like, but then it's like, but now I regret it, and I'm like screaming my lungs out to try and get back to that, but I can't.
Well, also that's part of the song where he reveals about doing it dishonestly and leaving the note, the text, is again the bridge. It's coming clean, like, he did something wrong, so let me go and you will find someone. Like you deserve
better. You deserve better.
But I let go of my only one.
The song continues the trend of authenticity. Like, it's someone who's actually taken it's funny looking back on it. I don't to the scene of 2003, where you have a lyricist putting the blame more on themselves versus the other person in the relationship. And I feel like personally that was more authentic to me, because I often would put blame on myself. Like, I screwed that up, I didn't do this right, so it was always me, I did something wrong, versus laying the blame on someone else, because I just inherently felt that was incorrect, because it wasn't them, it was me. You know, it's I mean, although that sounds cliche, it's not you, it's me. Like that's a cliche way to break up with somebody.
Well, every villain is the hero of their story, you know.
This is very true.
Do you guys want to play this song?
Yeah,
I'll play. Yeah, I'll play this song.
do it.
Hell yeah. Only One by Yellowcard. Here we go. And that was Only One. You feel that emo in there, the emotions.
You do.
And then our next one is a very pop punk jam right afterwards.
Mhm.
So they do a slower, then they go right back to the pop punk in Miles Apart.
I love this song. It's one of my favorites on this album. And it feels like I also feel like it's like a sort of a love story coming to an end, but it's like feels like a high school partner that you're like, I gotta go my own way. But like if I had a time machine, could come back, I would absolutely do it all again.
I got to leave Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I
go to
gotta
California.
find California. Again, but it's the wistfulness again. It's like, we've all grown up, we've gone on, moved away. Jeff, we covered Less Than Jake, and that was a big theme of Less Than Jake as well. There must be something going on in Jacksonville. Anyway, but there's like nothing I can say about it right now. It's just it feels like I gotta go, I gotta leave, I gotta go on my own for a little while. But I'll always have this moment, this summer, if we're gonna
Mhm.
go with the summer theme, with me always. But what do you go ahead, Jeff? You could say something.
Oh no, I was gonna I was trying to read into it, and for me what made sense was whether it's a protagonist leaving town to go on tour, to move to California for a job or college, or it's like someone has an opportunity that's really important to them. And they're going,
They say like, I've got a new life to start.
right.
Like,
But then again in the bridge, the truth will out, and I'd give it up for just one more day with you. So they're feeling that regret again of
mhm.
having to lose this person. Like they have to like basically trade this relationship with this person for this other opportunity in their life that they wanted. They couldn't have both.
Mhm.
And I think they're struggling with that right now.
Well, that's a theme though. Like you can, as I close up my water bottle, that's a theme that you could connect to, right? Where you have to make a choice. I feel like this album is a lot of choice driven stuff. Like it because it's very looking back and stuff, like wishing you hadn't made a decision. Like Breathing talked about the possibility of the character perhaps cheated on the other character. That was a decision they made and they regret it. This again, Miles Apart. Even Ocean Avenue is
Mhm.
a song
Mhm.
about having made a decision, and they're not songs about saying whether or not, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but about whether or not those were right or wrong decisions. But they're thinking about the consequences of those decisions. Like I made this choice to go from Jacksonville to Florida, which means I'm no longer with you. And I would give it up for one more day with you, but I'm always like, but would you? I mean, you already made the choice to go out there, so it's like a little tongue in cheek there.
Yeah.
Well, now that you're saying that, and I think it's going to come back with us later and back home with the last song, there is a regret about this life this protagonist chose. If this was a concept album,
Sure.
there's a lot of longing for like this past place, and like, oh, I really love that person, or I really love that, like, why'd I leave, is it?
Now I'm wondering, because the next album is so anti-LA, because it very much is. And
Mhm.
this album, this is when they had moved out to California. So I'm wondering if this is like, they're not, it's not so on the nose, but lyrically they're like, I am growing up. I have grown up. I mean, they're probably in their early 20. Next song after this is 23. So let's just
Yeah.
assume let's assume they're 23. But like 23 for me at least was a time frame where I was like, oh, I am not a kid anymore. I'm not a college kid. I have to have a job, and like I got to do stuff. Like I actually have to make money to pay bills, and it's not all fun and games anymore. I have to be an adult for the first time in my life. You're still a kid at 23. I'm not gonna lie. Although I got married at 24, so what am I gonna say anything? But so
Well,
it's
yeah, nobody likes you when you're 23, Phil.
nobody likes you when you're 23. No one at all. But so I think this is an album for them where they are looking back at what they left. Maybe with rose-colored glasses, maybe not. But looking back at where they had grown up, and we're like, maybe it wasn't so bad where I grew up.
Or like realizing that this corporate, music machine isn't all we thought it would be. Maybe I do just want to go back and just be a garage band and do it for fun. Because I did, so like at the 20th anniversary show, Ryan did talk a lot about how during, like, when this album came out and their first tour with it and everything, like he was like super messed up with like he was not taking care of himself. And so it might be like just being like, oh, this wasn't what I thought it would be, and now I'm in like a bad place.
Because I think they got from starting out to Capitol fairly quickly. I mean, 'cause they had to. Let me look up how old Ryan is, but like I feel like it's not a long time from when they started making music to when they got picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time frame, you're gonna do a lot of growing up.
Well, I think that
yeah, good.
I think that's true across the board. I think when we talk about this music scene as it was, 2003 is very important. All these bands are blowing up. A lot of these bands who were blowing up 2003, they only had 2 indie albums before that under their belt. They made out of high school, their first album, and then you know what I mean. Like, so you're dealing with this whole moment where all these bands are getting signed to major labels and moving out to LA and all this stuff, and like they're 20s, early 20s, and they're not grown up yet. And I'm sure there is a rock star lifestyle that when you sign to Capitol Records and you're at the Capitol Records building, I'm sure they're signing the contract. And it's like, it's just like in the movies. And then I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that comes with that can be problematic for your health.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been when this album came out, 23, 24. So there you go.
There you go. Well, it's funny because the next song is called 23.
It is called 23. Do you think it's a song about being 23, Jeff?
No, I don't. I think it's a song about standing up for somebody who's getting wronged by someone else, who also has a relationship with you. I don't know. There's a tense change in this song that throws me.
Well, and this also, Ryan doesn't sing the first 2 verses. It's the violinist, Sean.
Yeah, Sean, right.
Does it, which to me sort of feels like, because like in the chorus, it's like I'm almost 23, you're still mad at me. But then to have Sean sing the verses, it's sort of like a friend going back to this, girlfriend or whoever, and being like, well, this is what happened to him, and this is what he did and what you did and whatever that he said, she said. And then the chorus is like, but you're still mad at me. Like, there's so much I wanted to say, but like I can't now.
Well, it's funny you say that, and that makes sense, because what I was thinking is like Sean is going to this person who hurt. I'm just using their names. There's characters. Sean is going to Flo and telling Flo, you really hurt Ryan, and it's not getting through. And then Ryan comes in the chorus to like also chime in. It feels like they're tag teaming to let this person know how much this person wronged them.
And whatever this relationship was, the break of it seemed to be not very amicable, because like the chorus seems very like it's I don't know, it just seems more like toxic.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Phil.
You get.
No, but a lot of these songs have been about regretting breaking up with somebody or leaving someone. This bridge is the opposite. It's like, I wasted it on you. I wasted so much time on you. That's the bridge. Like, this is the realization of like, wow, I don't want to go back to this. This person was a waste of time for me. And they almost ruined my life.
I was very close to what I was going to say, because it's also like it's the opposite perspective of every other song, where instead of like wistfully long and nostalgically looking back at something, like you are a hot waste of time. But ironically, that character of whom he is speaking is kind of being like kind of nostalgic on their own. So he's kind of like looking back at the other character, like kind of like a reflection of himself or themselves. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, wow, that was a waste of time. You're like, we're almost 23. You're still mad about this. So I feel like whatever happened a very long time ago.
Yeah.
But like in teenage years, that could be like 2 weeks. But I'm gonna say it's probably like high school. Like we are 23. Going back to what we just talked about, where I just said I felt like 23 was the first time I felt kind of like adult-ish. That he's the main character is saying from this perspective that we are almost 23 and you still are being this
Can't let
person.
it go.
Can't
Yeah.
let it go of the person from high school. Now, admittingly, I have grudges from high school that I haven't let go, and I'm in my 40s. So it's not going to say he's not wrong. But yeah, I should be almost 43, and I should learn to let it go.
Well, Emily, we just talked about Miles Apart in 23. Which one would you like the people at home to hear?
Ooh.
I know it's a toss.
I mean, I did say Miles Apart is one of my favorites. But I feel like 23, like we've already had, like we played Ocean Avenue, The Wistful, looking back, like let's play this one. Let's play.
We're gonna do it.
I like
Yeah.
the contrast. I like the
Yeah.
contrast.
All right. 23 by Ocean Avenue starts now. And we're back. Couple bangers in a row. So we're gonna slow things down a little bit here.
We're gonna slow it down, and we're gonna change genres while we're at it real quick. And do a country song. Country western. How do you want to put this one together?
I don't know. This is a song about death to me, so you know.
It is. Which is ironic because I feel like it's such an upbeat kind of like kind of thing, but it's about someone who's died.
And it is weird to think of that it's a song about death and have it be so upbeat, because because when I played the violin, I was very into like fiddle music and fiddling, and this is 100% like starts off with like a jig, like fiddle, which is so weird for a song about someone who's died and is like looking down from heaven. I don't know, it's my favorite violin moment, like the opening of this song.
Yeah, I noted that. I'm like, this is the best use of violin on the album. It's just, you have a violin, let's use a violin for what it does.
Yeah.
Phil, do you like this song?
This did not be in my bucket of favorites. I'll be honest with that. I feel okay. Strip away all the music. Lyrically, I feel like it's a very good song. It is a authentic song. I just feel like the maybe it's a joke, the kind of upbeatness versus kind of a more death related. Every other song had been about a relationship, about like ending, but they're not dead. Like this is the first time we've had a song about someone who's actually died, and I'm not taking that away. It seems like a very personal song, and I feel like the lyrics are still very authentic. I'm not a big fan of the music that goes with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this would have worked as I feel like it would have worked better as a straight. Okay, go one of two ways. A straight guitar, so just have the 6-string guitar going, and it's kind of like more ballady like that, or actually a sad fiddle. I think with this would have been amazing and like really showcased the violin work of the band. I feel like combined forces, it takes away from it, because I just feel like this is not, it's not a real representation of the band. You know what I mean? I think it could have been better. That's just me.
It's funny. All the things you just named why it's not your favorite song. I'm not saying it's my favorite song, but I definitely enjoy it on the album because it's them doing something different, and even to the extent of having, I don't know who the vocalist is, but the woman backing the vocals that comes in. I really
like So Mayday Parade opened for them the 20th anniversary show, and I feel like I read somewhere or they mentioned at the show that it was the lead singer of Mayday Parade's sister.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's
But
interesting.
I could be way off, but it's somebody's sister who another like band lead singer of a band's sister is who
Oh.
did the lyrics
That's
or
interesting.
the singing along. I don't know. I forget who it was.
Side quest. Did Mayday Parade play Jamie All Over? Because that is their Ocean Avenue.
They did.
I love that song. They're one of those bands that have one of those songs where it's like, why is this song, where did this song come from? Because it's like a 10, where all their other songs are probably like an 8 or a 7.
Yeah. And it was definitely like everybody like, oh, Mayday Parade's here. Cool. Like we'll sit through these like 5 songs and then Jamie All Over. And we're like, yeah.
It's like red jumpsuit apparatus.
Oh yeah, same thing. They have.
Yeah.
I don't know any other red jumpsuit up. First of all, that name, but
I think it's a great band name. But Face Down, that's the greatest song they ever wrote, and that is an amazing. I'm here for it because one, I like the message behind it.
Yeah.
But two, it's a banger song. But the rest of it, I'm like, yeah.
I don't know any other. I couldn't even tell you another song.
I couldn't even tell you another one. No. Sorry, red jumpsuit apparatus fans out there who are gonna send me letters here in New Hampshire because I can't name another song.
The other part of this song I really love is the outro chorus when he gets more intense. I feel like the song builds in that sense, and I really like that part. So for me, I like this song on the album.
I don't dislike the song on the album, but it is another one that I sometimes will skip because it's like tonally the lyrics and the like music, like you were saying, Phil, it doesn't always hit for me where I'm just like, I don't feel like this today. Like I'm not into this right now.
That's okay. You don't have. There are no such thing as a perfect album.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few near perfect albums, but but it's okay. You can't be great all the time.
You need to listen to your feelings, no matter what feelings you have. If a song makes you happy, angry, sad, it doesn't matter, because we learned from the movie Inside Out that all feelings matter. And the next song is called Inside Out.
That is such a great movie. I always appreciate the angry guy.
I love it. I'm really scared about the sequel though. They're doing.
They're making a sequel?
Yeah, I don't want a sequel to that movie.
Gosh.
That movie.
Wait, is it gonna be what's her name like now as like an older teenager, or is
I don't know what it's gonna do. That first movie I think is like perfect, and it has one of the saddest things that Pixar's ever done.
Don't bring them up. Yeah, don't bring them up.
I'm not gonna bring it up, but it's like, gut wrenching moment in that movie.
It's like that as a grown ass man, I was like, no, I can't watch this. This is like, it's like watching the Never Ending Story, where the fucking horse, you're like, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Like I can't watch that and not feel the feels on that. It's terrible.
But it also has my favorite joke of the dad's brain is just hockey.
It's hockey all the time. And he's like, oh wait, I think she's talking to us, and like the screen goes down really quick. So now we're becoming a Pixar podcast.
We're just Inside Out, just
Inside Out.
Just the first one. We're anti Inside Out sequels.
I don't. You need Inside Out. Like it wasn't gonna be Inside Out again. Is it gonna be the name of the song, name of the movie? It's gonna be that now. Now that I said it out loud. Let's talk about Inside Out, the song.
Very much a straightforward pop punk song.
Mm-hmm.
I even feel like the violin is a bit buried in this one. It's in the chorus, but it's like really, really takes a back seat. Like this felt like we needed another pop punk song.
Yeah. We needed to come back to the known. What do you think about this song, Jeff? Lyrically speaking, how do you feel about this? We were talking about feels. How's the feels on this? If
the film Inside Out is a brilliant piece of cinema, a classic, I would say this song is the opposite of that. It's the one that I just kind of like. It's like a song about two people who knew each other well, but they had a falling out. And
we've covered this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a few times on this album and done better, in other places. It's not a bad song, but it's
No.
just, I feel like it's something we've covered. We've covered this one.
Well, it's also interesting because there's 13 songs on the album.
Mm.
You could have dropped this one and had a 12-song album, which, not 13 songs is fine, but like it does feel like you could have trimmed it a little bit, and this would be one you could trim.
You could trim this one.
Yeah.
Could trim it.
That's just what I believe.
I was trying to think what's a good segue for that, but that's true. Again, another song that I feel like was gonna. I kept waiting for it to be a sarcastic song, but it's an authentic song.
Yeah.
It is.
It's really. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's interesting to listen to it now. I wonder. I can't remember how I felt in 2003 about it. I remember I liking it, but like now I really like it.
Yeah.
It hits a little different now.
Yeah.
Being older and because like much of the nation in 2001 in September, we're glued to our TV. Jeff and I were actually really close to that, and like to the point where we can see buildings from our dorm room.
Long Island.
So it was so the 9/11 hits a little differently, I think, for I know for me. I won't speak for Jeff, but definitely for me, it hits a little differently. So hearing a song again recently, and then trying to I actually think I pushed this one out of my mind back then, because I was like, you know what, I don't want to hear it because I don't want to remember. But having the chance to go back and listen to it, it's a song I always, like I said, think it's gonna get sarcastic, but it never does. And I kind of love that it's again a positive song in a time frame when there was a lot of negativity. And I don't think it's like a stupidly positive song, like toxically positive. I think it's just an actual positive song, and about believing that good things will still happen even though there's adversity.
Yeah, the song about hope and
Hope.
Yeah.
Good. There you go.
Hope rising from the ashes of tragedy, right? Like even the worst things can happen.
Well, and even it also, even in the end, I think it's like the final, maybe like the outro. He gets like really emotional, and he's sort of like almost screaming into the mic in a way. Like, I don't know, like this song for me, I wasn't again at the time wasn't super into it, because I don't, also in Denver, 9/11 hit different in Denver too. So it was like, listening to it now, I appreciate it so much more than I did then, because now it's like, oh, I understand these like feelings that you're talking about more so than I did when I was like, 13.
That you mentioned the outro where he gets really tense and almost screaming. It's like it's almost like in View from Heaven he tested that out, and in this one it nails it perfectly. Like that intensity is warranted here.
And it feels like a speech. And I feel like he's like or maybe he's at the pulpit giving this the sermon or whatnot, because it builds, right? And then I like it. My favorite part is the last two lines about the world may take little note, essentially, of what we did here, but to me, as I'm paraphrasing, to me this matters. This was important to them to say that, but it can never forget what we did here. Like the world won't forget what we did here. And I think that's important. I like that. I feel like that sums up the whole thing. When you get into the really positivity, everything's gonna be all right, just believe. I get nervous about songs like that, because I feel like we quickly branch into other genres that I don't dig. But I feel, knowing this song is so far into the album, having gone through the album, the authenticity of Ryan, or songwriter here, I'm like, okay, he means it. Like, believe in it. It's going to be better. It's going to be better. And I appreciate that more so now than I did then.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also, how it evokes just the heroes in the night. Like it's trying to like whoever he's made the speech to. He's like, there are people out there saving people. There are people out there looking out for people. There's this is what it means to believe. It's like everything's gonna be all right. Obviously, like there's a tragedy to happen, so not everything's all right. But like you have to believe that you have to keep fighting on, kind of thing, right? Do you know what those speeches are from that play under the song?
I don't.
All right, so I looked them up. Get ready for this. So the first one is Bloomberg's speech on 9/11 in 2002 at the site.
The year, so first year. Okay.
First year anniversary. And then that last line that you like, Phil.
Yeah.
It's from a little address known as the Gettysburg Address.
See, I knew it had some weight to it. There you go.
So it's interesting that,
yeah.
but it's interesting that like they made this very American song because it's one thing to be like kind of evoking 9/11 because they don't come out and say it's 9/11, but then when you put in this speech that's about 9/11, and then you go back to Lincoln at the end. It's interesting that like that's where they were because there's nothing else in the album that's like this.
No, it's like the first and only time they get sort of political, but it's not really political, but it kind of is. I mean, but not at the same time. Like I don't think of them as a political band, as a pop punk band.
No.
They're like, let's go skateboard and surf and cruise down Ocean Avenue toward Santa Monica. So, which is probably why this album, this song kind of stands out a little bit amongst the others.
I think we should play Believe because we all just gotta believe.
You gotta believe.
Here is Believe by Yellowcard. And that was Believe.
You gotta believe something bigger than yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. Bigger than yourself.
I love that. I wish you had told me that 1 year, 6 months ago, but that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, look, I'm better late than never, right? I'm a man who edits more. I believe in editing and revision, except being revisionist. That's not I'm not okay with that, but I believe in revision, the art of revision and editing. And it would take me 1 year and 6 months to do a good job in any 3-line poem I'll ever write. What do you think? Yeah.
This song is number 12 out of 13. So what song is this?
This would be the penultimate song.
That's right. It's the penultimate song on Ocean Avenue.
Penultimate song on Ocean Avenue. So fantastic. We get that, bring that in. How do we feel about this song?
I'm not always a huge fan of this song. Usually skip it. But I will say, like we've been talking about how this whole album there's a theme of regret running through, and they're literally the first line is like, sew this up with threads of reason and regret. Like it's almost like they're like, we realize what we've been doing this whole album. We're just like putting a nice bow on it, sewing it up. Here's this like final song about regretful relationship ending. Here we go.
Well, I also feel like he's like bottling it back up a little bit. So like, I'll never forget it. I'm going to sew this inside of me so that I will always have this fuel to write good pop punk songs later on. Yeah, it's another song again about looking back, memories of someone you've lost. Don't forget about what it was like. But I kind of agree with him. It's a song where I'm like, yeah, I've seen this one before. It's not a bad song. It's just if you want to trim the fat, I might say there's another candidate.
Yeah.
I kind of like. It's not quite acoustic, but I could see the song being acoustically played.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. I also kind of, in my mind, I think of this as like a sister song to Ocean Avenue, because
I could see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
So
yeah.
there's still the longing and regret that the relationship ended and missing that other person. It's unclear who broke up with who. But the other person clearly has forgotten about our narrator, which is different, right? Because the narrator isn't over it, right? They're the one who's thinking about 1 year, 6 months ago, but it's like one-sided in that sense.
Would you play, if you were to play Ocean Avenue and this song back to back, would you do this song first or would you do Ocean Avenue first?
I mean, if I'm Yellowcard and I'm playing a show, I'm always going to close at Ocean Avenue. So I would probably play this before that.
But let's say you just for yourself, would you play this one first? No, Ocean Avenue first, and then this one.
Yeah, this would be like the B-side.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I feel like it's the. You said this is a sister song. It's kind of like the rebuttal, almost, or the answer to it. Yeah. But yes, if I'm going to play this in the show, obviously we have to play Ocean Avenue last. I do like the lyrics again in this one. Like so many nights, legs tangled tight. I like it when it's like quick like that. Wrap me up in a dream with you, closure. Like, yeah, it's like this very reminiscing of what was, what had been. Again, maybe this is a generation that grew up a little too fast.
Well, even the chorus, like I'm falling into memories of you and things we used to do. Just like that's like I love that phrase of getting nostalgic. I'm falling into memories. Like
it reminds me of early-ish Save the Day.
Yeah.
Let's go back home.
All right. Rounding third to come back home to finish this album. The song is Back Home. Another sunny day in California.
Anytime you could say phrase like that, I'm here for it.
I literally wrote that in my notes. Like, there's nothing wrong with this song because he said California.
I love this song. It's one of my favorites, and like hearing them play it. So, and he like dedicated this to the fans because he was like, you know, we were on the road all the time. We're on the road again, and like lived all over the country, but like. Now he's like, when I play this song, it's like when I go back home, it's like the fans are the home that we're going back to. And like the fact that you like sold out all these theaters and like wanted to see us play it, like, so he got very emotional right before he played this.
I love that. I love the audience being home now.
I feel like that's the tracks, you know, with the authenticity of the writer itself, that it tracks that that's where love, the home would become, like being with that, and love being in front of people. I remember I saw, I'm going to go real crazy here. So Vertical Horizon.
Okay.
Remember that band?
No, I mean, I know the name, but like, it feels like a file deep inside.
Start digging into the, what was the name of the song? I God was the name of the song?
They had like a big hit. I remember.
Yeah, they did.
That was like in movies and stuff.
Yeah, Vertical Horizon. He's everything you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's everything you
that's
want.
It.
Yeah.
So they actually played in my town in New Hampshire, as part of a summer festival in town. And I remember the way he opened up and talked about playing in front of people, and it was the same kind of feel that these people were home regardless of how big a show. Like, you know, he's playing Little New Hampshire, right, in front of whoever came to the street festival that day, but he was still playing in front of people, and that felt at home. And I remember enjoying and appreciating the authenticity of saying that right when he said it, and that as soon as you said that, it made me think of them, and just enjoying the fact he gets to play in front of people. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, when you get down to it, that's super cool to be like, I'm a musician who actually plays, people come see me. I think that's cool.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, it totally, like looking at the lyrics now and listening to it, like it totally makes sense 20 years later that yes, the audience is the home, but like going back to like when it was first released, it also feels like they sort of were thrown into this world, and it wasn't like all they thought it would be, and they definitely like hate Los Angeles in this song.
Well, they're lonely in Los Angeles. Like that's where I really feel that. Like back home, I always thought I wanted so much more. Like that was the thing that drove them away. Didn't want to be in Jacksonville. I want to be somewhere else. Now I'm not too sure, because I miss knowing someone's there for me and feeling free to stand beside the ocean in the moonlight, light myself a smoke beneath a dark Atlantic sky, like really missing home. Yeah. And all the things that he thought he didn't want, now very important.
But also the bridge of this one, having lived in LA and working, you know, in the industry and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, like I 100% understand
Mhm.
what you are saying here, because it is so true. Like that
Yeah,
is this city.
it really is. It's like when he says empty-handed after 2 long years, like that's like the LA story. Like people come out
Mhm.
to LA, leave their home, and are scared and fearful that nothing's going to work out, and that's how it feels for most of the time. And even when it is working out, if you feel like it's not going to work out, uh, it's just it really captures that feeling
Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah, that for sure. And also like in the line in the bridge where he says everybody here is living life in fear of falling out of line, like that, like I feel that. And also the final line, or in the second chorus, like there's nothing real for them to see here, which is like everybody here is so fake.
Yep.
Like it's, I don't know, this song, like, and then hearing it live again, like totally, I like got kind of emotional at the concert, because I'm like, oh, I it means so much more to me now, also having moved away from home to LA, and like
Yeah.
I totally understand everything that's happening in this song.
I just like the fact that home for him at one point is just ripping a butt on the beach,
Yeah.
looking at the Atlantic Ocean. Growing up on Long Island, I've done the same thing. So
Blasting cigs on the beach.
yeah, and it's just it. But I think that's kind of a funny thing. Like he can't do that in LA or in California because that's like super frowned upon. Well,
Yeah.
there's no Atlantic Ocean on that side, so it'd be the Pacific Ocean. But two, yeah, I think that's kind of the frowned upon part of the harmful side of things. I always found that funny. He's free to stand beside, and like I go back to Jacksonville and go hang out by the ocean and rip a few butts.
Mhm.
Huh? And not be alone. There'll be people there who care about him.
And the people that really care about them. That's right.
I really think it's a really strong closer for the album.
I agree.
Yeah.
It sticks the landing. It's a kind of song because it really, if this is their breakout song, the breakout album, and they're like blowing up, and it's like the last song on the album is kind of like, kind of don't like this, which makes it more interesting.
I like it because I feel it's the realization of growing up. Where I forget, I think Emily, I think you said it was like that going out to the California in this case, it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, or it didn't turn out. Maybe it did turn out the way you thought it would turn out, but how it turned out, you did not enjoy.
Yeah. And how it like made you feel like about
Right.
yourself and your
Yeah.
art and whatever. It's
Well, and then the whole next album is anti-LA. So this is like the starting point
Yeah.
for that. Maybe
That's
this is
so interesting that
Mhm.
this song sets the mood for what the next album is going to be.
because the whole next album is essentially it's anti particularly the opening, well, the second track, because the opening is instrumental, but Lights and Sounds is just it's all LA is. Lights and Sounds, just
Mhm.
it's distraction. And so it's funny that this is the closer that eventually leads into the next album. I agree with you, Jeff. I think it's a very strong closing song, which I gotta be honest, I feel like is a hard thing to do. The two hardest things to do is a great opener, a great closer. And
Yeah.
I feel we talked about it before. I feel not all bands can do that. I think this is actually an album that has a great opener, a better, in my opinion, a better closer, but a great opener.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting going through these albums like this and finding out how many albums don't close well. It's a
It's
lot more
true.
than you think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and you think it's like, well, you want to put a good, because you always want to. It's the last thing they're going to hear, so you always
Mhm.
want to do. I mean, granted, that's the last thing.
Or 20 years ago when there were albums. Now it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah, now it doesn't. It's right. It's all very singular now. But like, yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, admittedly, you do fall into the last thing heard bias, which is like you're going to base your entire opinion on the album on the last song you heard. But I feel like you should always start well and end well, and have a really good banger somewhere in the middle.
well, that album's this album certainly does that. So
Yeah.
why don't we play Back Home real quick
Okay.
and close out the album with the final song that we all seem to like a lot. All right, Back Home. Here it is by Yellowcard. That was Back Home. That is Yellowcard's Ocean Avenue, the full album.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's an ode to Jacksonville, but I'm definitely gonna say it is an ode to getting away from LA. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. I'm gonna ask you and Emily some questions.
You want to know how the vegetable soup went? It was really good.
Was it good? Was
Yeah.
it good?
Yeah, it was really delicious.
I found my coffee to be a little too strong. I'm a little wired right now.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't
Well,
like
my
being wired.
chocolate shake was delicious, guys.
Yeah.
You know, one of these days I'm gonna order a chocolate shake.
The secret is they don't clean the shake machine, the malt machine. They don't never clean it. That's why it has that extra.
Well, that's how you make it taste better. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's like I never clean my grill
Right.
because
Your
you
cast
leave-
iron.
Right.
skillet. Don't clean
Yeah.
it.
that adds flavor. It's
Flavor.
like people with their cleaning. Anyway, I want to ask you guys some questions about the album, and I'm gonna start with you, Jeff. Jeff, what do you think is the best song on the album?
Come on.
No, I'm
It's
really
Ocean
serious.
Avenue.
Yeah, I really wanted your honest opinion on that. What's the best song on the album? Emily, going over to you. What is the best song on the album?
I mean, definitely Ocean Avenue. And
Yeah.
but I will say though, 20 years later, listening to it, Back Home is like close, like creeping right up there, like close second.
Maybe all right, close second, but yeah, it's Ocean Avenue.
Ocean Avenue for sure.
It's the best song on the album. There's just no way around it. Jeff, what do you think is the skip on the album? The biggest skip on the album?
I'm gonna skip Inside Out.
Inside Out, really? Not the movie.
Not the movie. I'm gonna skipping the Inside Out. I'm gonna go watch the movie, then just restart the album where I left off.
All right, so you're gonna skip Inside Out. All right. Emily, what about you? What are you gonna skip?
I think I'm skipping Empty Apartment.
Fair.
That's fair. That's fair. I actually originally wrote down Empty Apartment, but then I listened to the album a third time and I was like, no, it's View from Heaven. I don't dig it. Not for me. That's fine. And
Wow.
it doesn't have to be, but I do not like the View from Heaven. I'm going to elect to skip that one. Hate mail, you can send it to me in New Hampshire. Jeff, what do you think is the sleeper song? What do you think is a song people sleep on?
You know, it's funny. I think there's a couple of sleeper candidates on this.
I agree.
I'm gonna go with Breathing, only because it's between two singles and it's a jam and a half, and it has some of the best violin headbanging you'll get, so gotta be Breathing.
Emily, what about you? What is the sleeper song?
I guess so. I guess the sleeper for me is Back Home. Then,
Back
if
Home,
it's not the best song on the album, it's the sleeper hit for sure.
And that's always, I like the way you approach that. I applied the same concept. I think, Jeff, I think you're right. I think it's Breathing. I think Breathing's a sleeper. I think it's a song that is so good, it stands against two singles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of hard for a song, particularly that early in an album. I think Breathing's where it's at. All right. I don't know if I'll put this on any of the social media stuff. I'm going to ask you. I think it's an interesting question. The name of the album is Ocean Avenue. Do you think that fits as the name of the album? Is any of the other song titles a better title?
I mean, looking at it now as a whole, I feel like Way Away could be a great title for it because it's way away from, get us away from here.
We moved way away. We're dealing with it. Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? Do you think Way Away is a title? If it's not Ocean Avenue?
I agree that Way Away could be a strong title for the thematics of it, but Way Away is a weird thing to say.
It is weird.
It's hard to say. It is hard to say. Ocean Avenue, it elicits. I would agree with you guys. If I was going to pick another one that's not the title of the album, I would say Way Away. I feel like conceptually it fits better but Ocean Avenue is a very you get a specific thought when you say Ocean Avenue. It puts you at a place, at a spot. I mean, yeah, it's very California, yeah. That's how I feel. I feel like this is and the album cover doesn't help at all. There's like
Yeah.
sun drenched. It's water in there too, right? Is that what that
Yeah.
is? Yeah. So it's like, and the sun is setting, and it's obviously the sun only sets on the Pacific Ocean, at least for us. I said that very weird. Pacific Ocean. There it is. So I feel like Way Away thematically is a better song to name the album, but Ocean Avenue is a better title.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. That's glad we got that all straightened
We
out.
did it.
We've did it. Emily, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I really do. I appreciate your insight. From Denver to LA. Do you feel? Do you go and have a moment where you're like, God, back home?
Yes, all the time.
Do you? Yeah.
Especially now when nothing really going on out here.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. And yeah, definitely also like when I first moved here and first started working in the industry, it's like, you do get a little bit of like a shock, like, it isn't all glitz and glam like they sell it to you in the movies. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, very little glitz and glam, actually.
Yeah, very, very little, especially for actors, but like for us, like writers, it's definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And going back home a lot of times sounds really nice.
I guess I'm the opposite. Because I'm like, nope, I'm all set with Long Island. I'll never go back. I go back on occasion.
Well, it does help if your home place is a desirable place to live.
Also, this is also true. Because Denver sounds
Denver's supposed to be, people
Yeah.
love Denver. You got Red Rocks Amphitheater. Come on.
Red Rocks. It's great.
I mean, you're also up higher, right? So the oxygen level is
Uh-huh.
much more of like a great thing versus.
And they got the champion Denver Nuggets, and the year before that, the champion Colorado Avalanche. Look at it.
And
going.
The Broncos were champions at some point.
Yeah,
the Rockies maybe one day, but
I doubt it. But
yeah,
because that fluke year they got to the World Series, that when everybody was like, what's happening?
And then lost to my friends, the Boston Red Sox. I was really
clean sweep.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was 2007, if I remember right.
I think so.
Which is another good year for the Red Sox. Sorry. Again, hate mail for all the Red Sox. Bring it to me in New Hampshire. Here we go. All right. So quick thank yous. I want to say thank you to our executive producer, Megan, who's my wife, who helps me, I don't know, be a better man. I also want to say that we have Facebook as well as Instagram, and we have Threads.
Wait, is Megan your salesman for Life of a Salesman?
Basically, yeah. I mean, yeah. No, she really is, because like she's the positive where I'm negative. And so yeah, she's the one who sold me on this idea of as I said earlier in the show, she and I got married. We got married at I was 24 when we got married. Very young. Nowadays, I'm like, my son's 15, right? And so that is 9 years away. And I just think about that now. I'm like, no, far too young. We got married way young. We got married way young. Very young.
Way away young.
Way away young. That sounds like Elmer Fudd almost. It's like, oh, it's way away. Yeah. Or you're from Maine, because that's also, I went into a slight Maine-ish accent with that as well. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we have Threads. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment on all of them. Jeff, how easy is it to make a podcast?
Why, it's so easy on Spotify to make a podcast. Podcasting up for Spotify is a way to take any topic you want, and you can drop in songs. So if you want to do entire Cheap Trick podcast, you could do that and play Cheap Trick songs the whole time. And also, real quick, Emily, where can people find you on the socials?
Oh gosh, I only have one. I have Instagram, but I'm a private account. I don't know, but you can you can try to follow me if you want. But if I don't know you, I'm gonna be like, no thanks.
Perfect.
But yeah, I only have just the one these days. So
perfect. That's all you need. Phil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember the look in your eye when I tell you that this is goodbye.